What's up, peeps? Welcome back to another math vid. And today we are going to do patterns. And what are patterns? Patterns are basically just a table without the table. Yeah. So, our first question today is use the figure below to answer the question. If 2 more rows of circles are added, how many circles will there be in all? So, this is pretty easy here. So, you can kind of just guess it out. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, pretty easy, pretty basic. But the simpler solution in this case is extremely easy. 1, because it does not go on very long. So basically just add each of them to 8, and then you can use the multiplication table, which is 3 times 8 equals 24. 24 plus the remaining 4 is 28. So the answer is 28. But what if you were going to use some bigger numbers, and it does not just only go on to 7, then what would you do? There is just there is an equation made especially for that case, except they have to go on in order. So let's just say 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus ... some random numbers in order plus n. So n is just any number basically, whatever it's adding to. So, a solution you can use to solve this is n multiplied by n plus 1 divided by 2. So, that's the solution for any adding in order. And, yeah. So, basically, let's test that out. So, our last row would have been 7. So, we can swap n out for 7. So then that would also equal 7 multiplied by 8 divided by 2. So you do 8 divided by 2. So then that would be 4. So 7 times 4 is 28. Proof equation works. So yeah, if you ever find yourself in like a doozy with like a really big number that you can't really just add all the way up to, because that would take up too much of test time, use this strat. Alright, so moving on to the second question, use the figure below to answer the question. How many squares will be in the 7th row? And this one, it's still pretty easy. It's kind of like the first one where you can just kind of just know. It's like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. But what if the numbers were bigger? So, then you've got to make an equation, or because you'd be counting forever if you're trying to strat on a big number. But let's just circle the answer for now. Alrighty. So if you were trying to look at a big number, you could kind of use, remember when I said at the beginning how this was kind of like a function table without the table? You can also kind of use the strategy for the function table on this as well. So let's just say this is the input, so the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. And this is the output, the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. So, using the same method on the input table, you could just kind of use that. So, 3 subtract 2 is 1, and 5 subtract 3, its corresponding numbers, is 2. So that means that these numbers, these functions, will have to be multiplied by 2 in some way or another. So, looking at that as well, you can kind of just see that y would have to equal 2x and something else. So let's test it out on something to see what the other function would be, the other part of the function. So let's just test it on this one here. It's our input. So 1 times 2 would equal 2, and we have to try and get it to equal 1, because that is the output. So that would mean that 2 subtract 1 equals 1. So the function would be y equals 2x subtract 1. And following that same idea, you could test that out on 7 here. So instead of using x, our number would be 7 times 2, which is 14, and 14 subtract 1 is 13. And that is why the answer is 13. Alrighty, moving on to the next question. Use the figure below to answer the question. You got a pile of bricks. How many squares will be in the 7th row? So this one is even easier than the second one. So you don't really need any strategy to solve this one in this particular question. It's just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Easy. But what if you were facing a larger number, just like the previous one? Same logic. So let's just use the same strategy as number 2, the input and output table. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then on the other side, the output side, we've got 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this one is extremely simple, but I'll go through it for the people who don't actually realize. So it's 5 subtract 4, and its corresponding numbers, 3 subtract 2, so it's 1 and it's 1. So there's no multiplication in here. And at this point, you kind of already know. Let's just test it out with 1. So 1 and what would equal 3? 1 plus 2 equals 3. It's really not that hard. So basically, the y would basically just equal 6x plus 2. Simple. And yeah, I hope this video helped you guys learn at least a little bit more about math. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!